and we can go ahead and get started. Everyone is here and live and ready to go. Monica, you there?
Yeah, can you see me? Can you hear me?
So I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Well, we need to be able to.
Are you able to turn your video on? If not, you can share your nuggets. So Monica, you were sharing the details from the Science Booth Expo, right? There you go.
Okay, yay. All right. So I'm going to try and do my best with lighting here because, yeah. All right. So, yeah, I really want to encourage everyone, like whether you're on live or whether you're watching this on the replay, to really learn something about at least maybe 4 of the different testings that Young Living does on essential oils that we do to establish purity and efficacy. So it's one thing to establish something is pure, and then it's another thing to establish that it is effective. And a lot of companies out there at this point are publishing their gas chromatography, mass spectrometry, GCMS charts. And if you've seen those are the charts that have, like the different spikes, right? And they tell you what different chemical constituents are in a certain oil. That will tell you certain things. For example, with lemon, it will tell you if it contains limonene. Now, we know that Young Living has a certain standard for the D-limonene that needs to be naturally occurring in our lemon if we're going to sell it under the Young Living seed to seal label. But the interesting thing is that that's not enough to do that type of testing. Because for limonene, for example, what it could, okay, if you heard that, that's the ice cream truck driving past my window.
I thought that was the frogs.
Yes, it sounds like frogs. It's the ice cream truck. Okay, well, that's a new one for me. Okay, so for limonene in the GCMS tests, it can show like a huge spike of limonene no matter what lemon it is. But the thing is, there's several different types of limonene and not all of them are effective. Yet all of them have a similar scent. Like, we're closing the window for the moment. We've got like chickens and turkeys and everything out there at this point. So what you need to do is actually do that GCMS test first, just as a baseline test for everything. But then if you don't move beyond that, you're really not guaranteeing what health effect you're going to bring with a certain essential oil. There's S-limonene, and there's like an entire alphabet of limonenes that can occur naturally. And you're only going to find out what kind of limonene you have if you test for chirality. So what chirality is different molecules that might look the same on that initial GCMS scan. And what we can think about is our hands, right? So if you put up your hands are the same, right? Both hands have 4 fingers, both hands have a thumb, they've got a front and a back, right? So they're the same, except when you go like this. Now they're not the same. Now they're similar, but they're actually very different. They're mirror images of each other, right? And then if you're like me, you're going to have like hands that almost look the same, but then like you'll have 2 different thumbs. See? So chirality testing goes down to the molecular level and tells you exactly what molecule type of limonene you actually have. So D-limonene is like delta limonene, but there's also alpha, beta, and like an entire Greek alphabet of limonene. And at the science booth, they even had up to S limonene, which was pretty interesting. So to make up for any scent variances that might occur with these different limonenes that don't actually provide a health benefit, they just provide a scent, they'll add linalool or other chemicals to make up for that scent that they're missing. Interestingly enough, one of the tests that they had that you could experiment with on the table was 4 different types of lemon oil. There was the Young Living oil, which is cold pressed, and that has that little bit of a yellow color to it. Then they had 2 different. One was hydro distilled, and that was actually a white oil. So it actually, distilling citrus oils will actually remove some of the health benefits of the essential oils. Citrus oils, especially, you want to have cold pressed. So there was hydro distilled and then chemically distilled, and then one on the end that was also clear with a question mark. And we had the opportunity to smell all of them and get to the question mark. If you're like me and you're highly reactive to chemical constituents and fragrances just, like cause instant pain because your nervous system just reacts with inflammation, you would think that all scents that are artificial would do that, right? If it's like boosted with linalool or something like that, that it would have that effect. And interestingly enough, all of those lemon oils smelled very, very similar. And getting to that last one with the question mark, it was pretty hard. I mean, you knew it wasn't a Young Living oil, but it was pretty hard to tell which one it was. And then it was very surprising for them to tell us that they actually manufactured that particular oil specifically for us to smell a completely fake oil. And me, as reactive as I am, I couldn't tell. It didn't do anything to me. And it really showed that based on how something smells, you can't tell if it's real or not. Or based on that gas chromatography test, that's not enough. You need to do additional testing. And that chirality testing is something that you can ask people about if they're talking about another oil company that, well, they publish their results and you don't. Well, there's a reason for that, because that test is just not good enough, right? That test will tell you a little bit, but it's not going to tell you if it has any health benefits. So it's my goal to actually learn more about other testing as well. So some resources that you can look at for that would be Cole Woolley. He's on Facebook, and his name is spelled C-O-L-E. The last name is W-O-O-L-L-E-Y. LLEY PhD, and he is independent of Young Living now. Like Lindsay Elmore, she's independent now and does her own thing. She's no longer employed by Young Living. Cole Woolley is actually one of the scientists, one of the chemists. He's actually a world-renowned chemist who actually worked with Gary to set up all the contacts in Oman and places like that. So that's a good resource, and he's got a lot of good information and graphics that you can learn from on Facebook. He also has a book called Exploring Essential Oils. And then Jen O'Sullivan, she has a new book out. I believe it's called Vitality, that really takes the tests and kind of puts them more into layman's terms, which is what we would need if you're going to teach anything in classes. I would not really get into the science too much during a 101 class, but this is definitely something you could use for an additional class once you get members going for like continuing education or something like that. So that's my bit on that. Does that sound good, everybody?
So Monica, do you mind if I ask you just a couple questions to make sure that everyone, including myself, got the gist of what you were saying? So for those who weren't there at convention, the Science and Expo booth was located where?
That was actually right beside all of the essential oils, where you could go in and smell all of the oils, and then the science booth was right beside that.
Okay, so this was in the Expo Center, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they have at convention each year, where they have different booths that center and focus on different aspects of Young Living that you got to visit. So
right.
Moving on, you were talking about the chirality test, and
yep.
which is a specific test that Young Living does in order to uphold a certain standard for their oils, correct?
Right.
And so that chirality test is that what tells what the constituents are, or is it more for what the health benefits may be?
It's both, because the test that most companies publish, which is that gas chromatography test, that will tell you the constituents. Like for lemon, most companies are going to have like a big spike of limonene and then a whole bunch of other little spikes, right? But that test doesn't tell you which limonene it is. So it does tell you the constituents, but also you need to know exactly which molecule you're looking at to determine if that limonene definitely has health benefits or not.
Okay, that makes sense. And so you were saying as well that most companies will publish their gas chromatology? Am I saying that correct? So most companies will publish their gas chromatology reports, but not the cryotology?
So most companies don't do any additional testing.
Correct.
A lot of them, they just do that gas. It's chromatography. Yeah, they publish that, but most of them don't do any additional testing. So the fact that we have for each oil, you're talking 15 to 20 different tests to determine not just purity, but different levels of constituents, and then very specific molecular testing like the chirality, and I've got to learn more about those two machines that we have, and I don't know enough about those, because those are the ones that only Young Living has, but that's not what we're talking about.
Right. Okay. So with your experience at the science booth this year, and with learning more about that? Like, how does that help you grow in your appreciation for being a part of a company with such standards?
Well, it really does boost your confidence in the product, and also what it can do for you, right? Because now you know you're not wasting your money, right? And also knowing that Young Living has that standard of, okay, well, if lemon doesn't have a certain amount of naturally occurring D-limonene, we're just not going to sell it. That's just, I mean, there's no other company that does that. You know, that level of what word am I looking for, Anthony?
Integrity.
Yes, thank you. That level of integrity does not exist in any other company out there. So that's just a wonderful thing to, you know, when you go and you attend convention and there's something like that, it makes me feel like I'm really doing the right thing. Because I've done so many other things, right? But when you're working with a company that's genuinely honest and helping other people, that really aligns with everything that I want to be doing, right?
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing those, Monica. I know that we have some others who are on the call who actually did go to convention as well. Did anyone else have a chance to make it by the Science Expo booth that might like to chime in on the topic that Monica was discussing earlier, or anything that you found from that Science Expo booth that might be beneficial? So while people are preparing their thoughts, I'll add my thought to that, because I was thinking very similar along the lines, Monica.
Mhm.
When so the more and more that I learn about this company over the past 3 years that we've been a part of it, um, and when they talked about Gary's mission of getting oils in every home, and how his even the way that he structured his company was about making products for individuals, not necessarily for profit. To me, that, like we mentioned, that speaks to the integrity not only of Young Living, but of Gary Young, and how the fact that even though he's no longer here, they have um, a standard in place, or a way of doing things that will not compromise the product for the individual going forward. And so what it makes me think about is really the value of what a person is getting when they purchase their premium starter kit or decide to get started with Young Living. Like, not only are you getting like a just superior product in all way, shape, or form, but you're getting it almost at 50% off when you purchase a premium starter kit, right? So you're getting 11 oils, which are, there's no other oils on the planet that are like it, for 50% off. But you're also getting the opportunity to share, and to be able to, you know, make a living doing that way. And then also you get the community and the education. So like, when you look at an example like this, Monica, from the just going to the booth, and I know there was the science behind essential oils class that was taught this year, you're also getting the education, like being part of the Young Living family. One thing that they really press is education. So I know last year I took the science behind in the molecular chemistry class behind essential oils. I think you've taken it before as well. For people who want to know the science behind it, I think that that's really important, because it adds to the legitimacy of the product, and lets people know that, like, not every oil is the same. Like, you can't go to your health food store and get an oil that's even close to what Young Living has to offer. So I think it really speaks to just how much value a person is getting. And so we really do a person a disservice when we don't convey that to an individual, right? When we're not conveying to them the fact that even though they may feel it's expensive, it is really not for what they're getting.
Mhm.
So
I was going to say too, like the science part is like really a green personality kind of thing. And like I'm not a strong green personality, but just if you're thinking business wise, it would be really good to just, you know, get like 3 or 4 of these science-based sort of facts and just kind of file them away in your brain for when you do meet these green people who are going to ask for that sciencey information. It doesn't need to be complicated either. I mean, you can just do like with the chirality, you can just do that demonstration with your hands sort of thing. Just like it would just be a good thing, I think, for everybody to just learn a couple of those facts.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're speaking to 2 greens here, so like as you were talking, we were just soaking that up and like, yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, but that's a good point as well. Anybody else on the call have anything that they would like to add to that fact?
Hey guys, this is Karen. So really quick, I think it's great that you said that if you're not green, such as this one right here, total blue all the way. And for people that are tuning in who don't know this, there's a personality test that we're talking about that explains basic tendencies of 4 personality types, right? So, but what are the resources? Can you repeat those resources for us again so that we can at least have the resources available to give to them?
Okay, so Jen O'Sullivan, most people know her, right, as an author, and she has that Facebook page, The Human Body and Essential Oils. Her new book is called Vitality.
Okay.
And so that's just come out, and she gets into the different science aspects, not in major detail, because I can't deal with that. You know, like it puts it in a context that you can use it class-wise. The other resource would be Cole Woolley, Cole, and the last name is Woolley. That
Like
should bring
Wooly, right?
Just a little blue. Just a little. Right. So those 2 would be the best one. They're the best ones I found.
Okay. I haven't heard of the Cole Woolley at all. And Lindsay Elmore too. I knew Lindsay Elmore and Jen O'Sullivan, but I didn't know about the Woolley Bully. I will now retain that.
2 years ago, he was at convention.
Oh, see that I didn't go to that one.
He was at convention last year too. He
was he?
class on chemistry. Yeah, like I don't know if you can see. Nope, you can't see that. I was trying to show you his face, but no.
No. So, and this is something good that we're talking about. So 2 years ago, Cole Woolley went to convention and you learned more. Last year, I went to convention for the first time and I learned so much about the science. And being a nurse, I kind of geek out on that kind of stuff because you tell me why it works and how you tell me that it works. Yeah, okay, I get it. But you tell me how it works and the constituents, which is the parts and pieces behind things. I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand why, the sesquiterpenes are like the scrubber. Now I get it, so it's really a good investment to learn about the science behind it. And I appreciate you sharing what you've learned too. And it gives me a better appreciation of the products that we have too. So there's one thing that I learned last year. I did not go to the science, and I don't know if you guys want me to share that or not. We're the only oil company that has a certain type of testing that can test the air, what's in the air and what's in the soil. And we're the only company that does that. So when the anthrax threats were coming in, they would test those envelopes and they would determine exactly where it came from. Well, that's exactly what our oil company has. We have access to that testing equipment that can test to that fine granular detail. And that just blew my mind away, that number one, were you going to say something, Anthony?
No.
Okay. That number one, we have access to it. Like, that's a lot. And then number two, it brought in, so when we have partner farms or we buy, when we partner with a farm, we can actually go back to that farm and say, listen, we found something in here. Let's work together on where this came from so that we can clean up your process so that we can start using you again. So it's not like, oh, we're the best, we can't deal with your oil anymore, sorry. It's like, no, let's help you figure it out. Why? Because Young Living isn't just about the, it is about the purity, but they also care about the community in which it came from. Because we understand as a company that everything that we're doing is helping that community too. And I thought that was huge, that through our testing, we're actually helping the other partner farms be better. And that just blew me away, just completely blew me away, because when it comes to marketing and it comes to businesses, a lot of people here have a lot of cutthroat things, right? So we have the best products, we have this, sorry guys, like if you're not to our standards, sorry, we're going to go somewhere else. That's not what Young Living is about. And that's what blew my mind. It's like, no, wait a minute. We have the proper testing equipment to figure out what happened in that process to get your oils back to pure again so that we can partner with you and use those again. And I think that just adds to the two. So yeah, I know it's not kind of the science, but it just adds to how we utilize the science to help assure that the community that we're helping by utilizing their farm. And it's just really cool to know that Young Living not only tests for purity, but it tests to assure that we're helping the community further themselves too. So that's what I learned last year.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Anyone else on the call? I mean, we're not going to drag it out longer than it needs to be. If anyone has anything they'd like to add on this topic. I know that convention was a lot to take in, and over the next few weeks or so, we're really going to be digesting and breaking down a lot of the workshops. So we don't want to overload anyone, but if anyone has anything they would like to contribute, feel free.
I would just add, this isn't dealing with the science, but so just remember too, for those that did not attend, tickets will be available starting July 1st. So that's a good goal too, to kind of plan ahead now, so you can maybe set aside something so you'll be able to get your ticket July 1st.
Absolutely.
And it's a deal to get the ticket, really. Because even if something happens that you can't physically attend, that still will give you the digital ticket. So it's way better to get it now than wait till later.
And this is the first year they did the digital ticket. So, I mean, really, when you think about that value, if you purchase a ticket, you're going to get the content either way. You just won't get as much of the experience of actually going to convention, but you're going to get the content either way. So, great suggestion. Well, with that being said, does anybody have any events that they would like to promote? We know that the Live Your Passion Rally is coming up July 14th. Dana and I, or particularly more so myself, I'm working with a few of the leaders in Michigan to set up bi-weekly classes and training for our entire team and our entire organization. So this will be held twice a month. One will be more of an education class, which is for education on product, or one is more education on product and the science behind it. So a call like tonight is great. And the other one is more business oriented. These are open for you to bring guests to as well. So to help you build your business and grow through duplication, this will be set up as a means for you to be able to plug into. So the first one that we're shooting for to do is on July 10th, which is a Tuesday at 7 p.m. So that we could hopefully get everyone in there and start it by 7:30 and be in and out within an hour. So plug that in your calendar, and the next one that we're looking at will be 2 Tuesdays after that. So
Business, is that first one business or education?
so this one will be education.
Okay.
So feel free. This will be for you and your guests to plug into. And just one thing to remember with events like this, Young Living, and this is a takeaway from just talking to everyone that I met at convention, Royal Crown Diamond, all the way down to senior stars and stars. Young Living is really about creating community, and those who have a strong community, they tend to do well within this business. So if you can at all, support the bi-weekly team meetings, just like you're supporting the team calls, along with your guests and other team members. Encourage them to do so, because that way we'll really see growth within our organizations. And I believe that everyone who's on the call, that's what they want. So just keep that in mind, that will be coming down the pipeline very, very soon. With that, if no one has anything else to add.
This is Tishina.
Oh, go ahead, Tishina.
Yeah, the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have our monthly spa parties as well. So the person that we've been collaborating with will definitely within the next couple of days have our July date. And then from there, we're going to try to book those like for the rest of the year. So that's also another really product education thing. And I mean, just for people who have been to other events. So like this is in the spirit of like Shannon Hudson hotel events, Susan Matthews, you guys have gone to Sterling Heights. We're going to make sure that we put them on Shannon's page. We're going to make sure that we put them on the Young Living page. So again, it is about community and collaboration and all cross-line support, so that we basically are trying to recreate what Shannon has in Genesee County, and people don't have to feel like, you know, for their rally, they're all the way up in Frankenmuth. That's going to be difficult for some of our individuals that like live in Dearborn to try to stomach $40 and get there. So that as we're doing our rallies regularly more in Oakland County, we also have these other events. And so we're creating the consistency of a community that exists in Oakland County.
There you go. And I've already gotten Catherine Trestane has signed on to join us with her team as well. So for those who don't know, she's a gold leader within Young Living that's within our local area. She was with us for the last Live Your Passion rally that we did earlier this year. So yeah, by all means, if you can, support it, because I feel like you'll really get a lot out of it, and so will your team. So spread the word, spread the message throughout your team that that's what we'll be doing.
I do have one other thing to add, Anthony. Sorry. She was just mentioned Shannon Hudson, and I know it doesn't seem that far away, but August 17th and 18th is the next Shannon Hudson events too. And that is going to have, I forget who's coming in. But anyway, she always brings in some fantastic people. Last time it was Jim Bob. The other time it was, oh wait, she's got it. Dana's got it.
It's Bethany Shipley will be there. Benjamin Perkis is coming. He was supposed to come to the last one, but he had a family event come up.
Jacob Adamo.
Nope, he's not living.
Okay.
Marlene Winger, Kelly Frost, and then Laura. That's a diamond too. I think in the Lansing area.
Yeah.
I was gonna write it right there.
Oh,
Yeah, and then for those people that are interested in the science too, I was just reading something earlier, and I really think that this would be helpful, is find one product, one oil or a product to obsess over and learn everything about. So get in the details, get to know all about it, and then make a list of people who need it and ask if you could send them your findings. So when you're learning about the science, think in your back of your mind, who can this help? Who can I reach out to help this oil that needs this in their life? So I was literally just read that while this was going on. I'm like, oh, that might be good. When you're learning about what this does, let's think about who needs it in their life. Even if they're, if they're on your team, or if there's somebody that you're prospecting or whatnot. I mean, think about how many people you can help. And just by helping that one person, you're also helping that family. So.
Good suggestion. I like that. Well, alrighty. With that being said, we'll go ahead and close out the call for tonight. Thank you for everyone for being on. We look forward to next week's call. And just really quickly, I want to get the topic so that we can make sure we have the person. So next week's topic will be facts tell, stories sell, crafting your story. And Jen will be hosting that. So tune in next week. There's, like I said, there were plenty of workshops and classes. Some people who didn't have a chance to make it through to all the classes are still going through some in their with their digital ticket. So if you have time, review that between here and there, and so that everyone can have a part in the discussion. We look forward to it. So good night, everyone, and we'll see you guys next week.
Good night, folks. Excellent job, Monica.
Thank you.